Kopa Real Estate story time for Thursday, April 30th, 2026. I'm Eric Peterson, broker and owner of Kopa Real Estate. I'm standing here in a listing that we're going to have on the market next week in Parkside, Avery Ranch. And this one is a special one for me because I love this floor plan. It's actually the same floor plan of the first house that I bought in Avery Ranch way back in the end of 2007. And the funny thing about that is it's really hard to time the market. Everybody's asking me, should I buy, should I sell? Well, if you remember, right at the end of 2007 was right when the great financial crisis started. And so essentially, look at my track record of that. Now, things turned out for me in the end very well, but it's just kind of a funny story. I love this house though in particular because it's better than the house that I bought. Not only does it have wood floors and it's all totally updated white cabinets, beautiful fireplace, but it steps away from the Brushy Creek Trail, steps away from one of the neighborhood's pools as well. So I can't wait to get this one on the market next week. We did have two closings today, one in Oak Brook in Austin, 78717, and one all the way out in Lago Vista, all right? So we do work a pretty wide area. And we put two homes on the market today, one over in Round Rock near Del Diamond, and one down in Bella Montana, which is a really nice high-end gated community in Lake Travis ISD. So take a look at that one as well. 6 bedrooms, 5 full baths. Not only a gate in the neighborhood, but a gate in front of the house as well. Just to put a bow on a story that I had told, I had a home on the market. We've done all the marketing, helped the clients with getting the home on the market, make ready, all of the photography, videos, staging that we were able to do. Had an open house. We got multiple offers and bid the price up. And one of the neighbors came over and said, hey, let me know what the final price is going to be, and I'll come over and I'll match that price, but we'll cut out your realtor and I'll just buy the house from you that way. Right? And of course, a lot of my friends responded, oh my gosh, what a jerk, don't you have a contract, and all this kind of stuff. So here's how it worked out, right? Well, of course, the sellers said they were just going to follow the process, and we wound up closing on the house earlier today, right? And everybody's surprised on this. In my career, this has probably happened about 20 times. And it's always turned out the exact same way. And it's not because of contracts. Maybe it's partly that. We certainly work off of contracts, but it's not because I added value or something like that. What it really comes down to is client selection. So we just attract some of the best people in the world. People who, I always say that in our area, my grandpa was a small business owner. He could have done business with you on a handshake. And I always say that I can do business on a handshake. Texas Real Estate Commission doesn't let me do it, so there have to be contracts. But most of the people that we work with are people that I could probably do business with on a handshake. And so all's well that ends well with this. What could have happened and all that, I don't know. I'll worry about it when one of these things actually goes south, but I really don't expect it will because of the people that we typically work with. So stock market's at an all-time high today on April 30th, right? It's gone crazy. And this is a story that somebody asked me yesterday. I'm going to be selling their house. They moved up to a larger home. And the market for the home where they're buying is much more competitive than the market that they're selling. And, my response to this is that the funny thing about people with money is they have money. So you look at the stock market, we really do have this kind of K-shaped economy, and the higher end homes, the homes that are really special, the people that are buying those homes, they typically have the extra money that they can throw at a deal. And that's why sometimes it's easier to sell a $1.4 million house than it is to sell a $400,000 house. Tons of people have cash for the 1.4 house, and nobody can afford a $400,000 house. So it's just the way things typically have been working out lately, it seems like. And I wanted to talk to you about feedback and kind of your expectations as somebody who's going to be selling a house. This is really important for you to understand. This is a message that somebody left on one of the realtor Facebook message boards and complaining that the buyer's agents were not leaving feedback. And I'll just tell you up front that our system, Joyce and myself, we probably get feedback about 75 or 80% of the time. Industry average is somewhere around 15 or 20%. But the amount of feedback that you can expect to get is diminishing almost every day. And a lot of agents have heard about a lawsuit that happened because the buyer agent gave information to the listing agent when they were providing feedback. I wasn't involved in that, but certainly does raise a question of the buyer agent's fiduciary responsibility to the buyer and not the listing agent or the seller. I can appreciate that. I'll tell you what's happened to me personally. Situation last year, I was selling a house and it had been on the market with another agent for a period of time. And there was a buyer's agent, a buyer that had come to look at the house. And after the showing, the buyer's agent for feedback said that the house was mediocre. And it seems like this really set off the owner of the house. This is also one of the challenges that you have when you're selling the house. One of these be careful what you wish for things, because you want feedback, but we're expecting that the buyer agent is going to be walking on eggshells to not want to hurt your feelings. And you hear these things and it is going to hurt your feelings and people are going to take it emotionally. I understand that because it's your house. So after I took over the listing, the buyer and the buyer agent came back to see the home again. And it seemed like they were interested in the house and the seller wanted nothing to do with them, right? Couldn't get past the agent or the buyer saying that the home was mediocre. And so this is one of these things where if you're honest and upfront with the listing agent and the seller about maybe what the comments were, the feedback was, later on, it could be used against you as the buyer agent. And the more and more stories they get out there like this, the fewer and fewer buyer agents are going to be willing to provide that feedback. So the important thing for you, if you're selling your house, is you can do one of two things. You can either hire a real estate agent who's inexperienced, and then when there's a showing, they're going to be reaching out to the buyer agent who's probably never sold a house in your neighborhood, maybe only sold one home all year. And they may have only met this buyer at the house for the showing and asking and trying to track down them and demanding that they give us feedback. Okay, that's one strategy. Or you could just hire an experienced listing agent who's already going to be able to tell you the pluses and minuses of your property. And although still trying to reach out to the buyer's agents, because after all, we do want to sell the house, but not necessarily relying on just that feedback from an agent who might not really be that experienced. And that's why you really should consider hiring a real estate broker who sold hundreds and hundreds of homes, who can already walk you through really what your feedback is going to be for your property, even before you come on the market. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate your support. If we can ever help you, get in contact with us.